Good afternoon. My name is Darren Ryan. I'm the CEO at Social Entrepreneurs Ireland. Just trying to get a sense of people in the room. Who here feels like when they leave school, they would like to make a difference in the world? They'd like to make a positive impact on the world around them? Quick show of hands. Quite a few of you. Excellent, excellent. That's a good start. And actually, hold your hands up for one moment longer. Will keep your hand up if you know exactly what that difference will be or exactly where you're going to add value in the world around you, right? So there's only a handful, and so there's so many of you who do want to make that positive impact, but don't quite know yet how to do that or in what way you might think about it. When I was 16, I had my hand up in this audience. I was thinking, I was committed, or I knew deep down that I wanted to do something in the world that had a purpose, that would improve the world around me in some way, but I had no idea what that would be. My mum and my sister are both social workers, so growing up in the house around the dinner table, the conversation often went to conversations about disadvantage, conversations about people and places and different things across the country and around the world ultimately, where people didn't have the same opportunities or people were struggling or suffering. And so I had this really deep sense that I knew I wanted to do something to make a difference, but I had absolutely no idea what that difference would be or what that path would be. And as I was going into the Leaving Cert and applying for courses and thinking about what I wanted to do, I knew I didn't want to go down one route, which was kind of social work and that kind of work in the public sector and working for government. But I didn't know that if there was any other option or any other path. And all around me, the conversation was around applying for lots of different courses, but none seemed to provide a path to actually making a difference, or it wasn't obvious to me what path that might be. I think a big challenge of that part was trying to think about, if I don't have the exact idea, if I don't have the answer to the question about exactly how I want to make a difference, is that something that I can even do? I guess speaking now with the experience of over 10 years working in social entrepreneurship, I've realized that if we want to make a difference in the world, we don't all have to have a big idea. We don't all have to have the answer to that question, because in order to change the world, you need lots of different skill sets that are not just focused on learning about social studies or about the challenges in the world, but in order to change things in the world, we also need people who are great at marketing, who are great at telling a story, who are great at raising funds for an organization, who are great at running an organization, who are great at doing operations and logistics, and are great at running things and making things happen. And not everyone needs to be the exact expert in the area of the social issue. And that's where, for me, I found an answer to the question of, I'm really into business and entrepreneurship, but I also want to make a difference. And how can we bring those two things together? Is it even possible to bring those two things together? The way that I've found making a difference or making a purpose is actually by finding other people who know what their dream is, who when you ask them, do they know what difference they want to make in the world, they keep their hand up. And they're the people with vision and who have a dream and who have a clear idea of the change that they want to see in society. And so for me, my why is helping those people to see their dreams come to fruition, come to reality. And I'll just give you two quick examples to give you a sense of the kind of things that I'm talking about there. So the first one is an organization called Food Cloud. Have people heard of come across that? So Food Cloud is an organization only set up about 5 years ago, which aimed to take the food waste coming from retailers like Tesco or Aldi. So at the end of the day, you have a lot of food wasted or thrown out that wasn't sold that day. While around the corner from that organization, you have a charity or a community group or somebody who is hungry or in need. And you have food waste and food poverty in very close confines to each other. So what Food Cloud did was set up a way of connecting, using an app, connecting the food retailer up with the local community directly. So at the end of every day, they can just scan in what spare food is left over, and they're able to send that then, or the charity is able to collect that food to provide support to people who are in food poverty or who are hungry. So a really simple idea of using resources that are already out there. And they've, since that time 5 years ago, they've redistributed over 45 million meals worth of food to charities and communities across Ireland and into the UK. And so, not everyone has to have that big idea about how to make that difference in the world. But if we're thinking about how we could support an organization like that, there's so many different ways that a great idea like that needs support. So we can start thinking beyond having to have the answer to that question. We can start thinking, look, if I want to make a difference in the world, I can keep that in the back of my mind and look for opportunities all throughout my career of ways that I can add to those ideas that other people are coming up with. Another example of something like this is a project called Coderdojo. Is there anyone who's attended Coderdojo's coding classes? A few in the room. It's excellent. So that, again, was an idea that didn't exist in Ireland just 10 years ago. So it was founded by a 19-year-old kid from Cork who actually set it up when he was in school. He set it up as a coding class for his friends and his peers in his school because they wanted to learn coding and he was able to teach it. And there was so much demand for the coding class that he had in his school that kids from other schools started to request and started to come to the school and try to attend the coding classes as well. So much so that the school obviously closed down the coding class because it was getting too popular. And he says he used to run these secret coding classes in secret against the rules. But that was such a popular idea and such a needed idea across the country that he turned it into a thing called Coderdojo and brought it to schools across Ireland. And thousands of young people have now gone through those coding classes, all because of somebody who spotted an idea and set it up and took the initiative to go for it and make it happen. And obviously, one person had that idea, but then he needed a whole team of people around him to tell the story, to spread the idea. He needed people to come up in schools around the country to volunteer as trainers and mentors and to make that happen. And they are now in 67 countries around the world. There are Coderdojo classes taking place every single week. So I guess the kind of short lesson, or kind of the thing I say to you, for all of you who put your hand up to say yes, you would like it to make a difference in the world, but it can sometimes feel overwhelming with so many challenges, so many things that you might be interested to make a difference about. So I'd say the first thing I'd say is get involved. Pick something that does interest you, that you do care about, and see is there a way you can get involved in it. Secondly, I'd say start small. So if you want to set something up, if you see something in your community or in your society that you think could be done differently, don't think about changing the country. Think about changing one person's life, or think about changing one thing in your community and see where it goes from there, and you'll learn a lot by doing that. But starting small is a great way, even if you're ultimately going to think big. And thirdly is to look around you and see what other people are doing and see if there's ways that you can support and row in behind, and think about what skills you could bring to it, even if it's not having the initial idea itself. Personally, for me, when I was 16, I'd never heard of what social entrepreneurship was. That wasn't a thing I'd ever come across. I didn't know it was possible to bring two of these worlds together. I never imagined what the difference I would make to supporting these early stage ideas would be. But for me, helping their dreams come true, helping Food Cloud turn into reality, helping Coderdojo turn into reality has been the most fulfilling thing that I could ever possibly have imagined doing. And so I'd encourage you, if you're thinking about how you can make a difference in the world, pursue it, follow it, because it's so rewarding if you're able to make a difference to even just one person in the world around you. So thank you and good luck.